Hi guys, so today I want to show you my Labrunner build, which I've been working on the last couple of days. So when I set out to make a Labrunner, I didn't want to do like any weird gear swapping for killing Itzaro and one-hitting him and then dashing in some corner hoping he doesn't hit me or anything. And at the same time, I didn't want to die to any traps because dying to traps kind of sucks. However, if you want to make a Labrunner, you want to have like a lot of movement speed, so that kind of contradicts itself. So I did have to look a little bit what kind of mechanics are out there to mitigate damage, at the same time boost my own damage, and yeah, this is what I came up with. We'll start off with a showcase and then I'll go into the items and everything. So I just saw that today's lab is absolutely terrible for running. But let's go anyway. So I will run the one for a fortune. So yeah, let's just pick up some silver caches. Maybe we get lucky, maybe not. So you don't really have to watch out for anything. Like if you go into traps or there's any monsters, it doesn't really matter. There's nearly nothing that can kill you. That's kind of nice with this build. So yeah, there's supposed to be a silver key somewhere here. Well, not here. Again, I mean, you see me running through all these traps. They can't kill you. So it's really, oh, we have to go back. So it's really just, yeah. You're healing everything. This is wrong. Looking for the secret passage. Oh, while we're here, why not? Now in theory poison could kill you, but in the lab there's really nothing that can do enough poison damage that's going to be a problem. So like these arrows coming out, they don't do enough damage.
I'm not up to that just yet.
Where there's a golden key, there must be a golden door.
So another silver key somewhere. Ah, yeah.
Where there's a silver key, there must be a silver door. Let the day dawn, golden with possibility. Oh, the weary traveler draws close to the end of the path.
So for killing him, all you need to do is switch weapons, press 2 buttons, and then you're set. And he goes down relatively fast, I would say. I mean, obviously there's faster builds for killing him, but given that all you have to do is just stand there, it's kind of nice. So there's no switch this, switch that, whatever. Also, maybe I should say Argus is possible. So it's actually quite easy, to be honest. Hello, Argus. Again, it's just stand there, right click, and he goes down. Can't really do much.
Goodbye, Argus. I couldn't have asked for a more faithful.
Running over fire, no problem. These traps, no problem. Bleeding, I should say. So I'm not immune against bleeding, but bleeding doesn't do enough damage
Must be a silver door.
to actually kill me because of the regen. So if you want to go for calms, it might be a good idea to get a ring which makes you bleed immune. They're just not that common. So last time I looked, I think there was like 1 on the market or 0, something like that. So that's the only thing which can actually kill you, these blue guys. Yeah, just don't stand there too long, I guess. Oh, it's this
Any
one.
mystery can be unlocked if one has the right key.
Hello? Who? Oh, there it is. That was actually very little loot. I was just double checking that this is actually an Uber lab, not a normal one.
When the time comes to strike, it is the sword strikes without hesitation, not the other. To entertain doubt is to dance with death.
So again, hit 2 buttons, hold right click.
Enjoy the reprisal.
And we're done.
You were born for this. Sweep the trappings of past emperors aside. Make your empire anew.
Now what will make you a lot faster is actually knowing these layouts. So I think that's even more important than having 1,000 movement
Any
speed.
mystery can be unlocked if one has the right key.
I still want the silver cash here. There we go.
I'm not up to
Any
that just yet.
mystery can be unlocked if one has the right key. An aspirant can afford to be promising. You must navigate your empire. Must keep trouble those promises. Show me your resolve. Triumphant at last.
Very good. Let's open some chests. Okay, so looking at the items, what do we have here? So Ichimonji is kind of standard. You use it just to buff your effects. This one is an interesting one, Vird's Veil. It allows you to not take any extra damage from critical hits. At the same time, your hits against you are unlucky, so that's quite a mandatory one, I would say, because these critical hits from Itsuru can be quite hard and surprising sometimes. Also, the enchantment right here is really necessary because it does boost your damage a lot. Then we have Ashes. Ashes, I would say, is mandatory on this one because it does mitigate quite a bit of damage, and we are using some alternate quality jewels. The shield is something you might want to, or you could replace. This one just says 20% movement speed, so that's the only reason I took it, to be honest. There are variants here where you try to boost some enhanced support by doing like +2 support gems, +2 dex gems, etc. And then you can put in some alternate quality jewels for elusive effect, and that makes you a bit faster, but I just didn't really want to hassle with that, so I just went with 20% movement speed and was happy with that. Now, this one is an interesting one, Anathema. So what Anathema does is increases the number of curses you can put on an enemy. And we actually need this because we're putting on quite a few curses. So on our body armor, also standard Queen of the Forest, on our body armor we have 4 curses which we're putting on the enemy. And that makes it so they can just do a lot less damage and receive a lot more damage. So these 4 are being put on with Frenzy and Awaken Hex Touch, and the only way that's possible is through Anathemas, so this one is a mandatory one, I guess. Here we need a blue ring, otherwise the Vird's Veil won't work, so I have this one. You might take another. It's not really necessary that you do non-channeling skills of minus cost, mana cost, as if you somehow reduce your costs through jewels or whatever, and then you might want to put life on it, but whatever. So this one works quite well for me. Now, the gloves are one where you could do something else. So I took these because these have a lot of life regen, and they do give me some damage. However, if you take Calms instead, so a lot of people will take Calms instead for Rage, then of course you are a bit faster, and you move faster if you have constant Rage. But I didn't like the idea of always having a life flask with me and having to click this life flask every time my life bar goes down, because I like to kind of go through the labs semi-AFK, to be honest, and it's just not possible with Calms. So with Calms, once you click the Blood Rage, if you lose life, you have to click your life flask in that moment, and that kind of annoys me. So yeah, I just didn't do that. So yeah, I'm going with this one. That's just my personal variant. If you want to be faster, go with Calms. If you want to chill, then go with these or something similar. I do have Mage Blood on this setup. It's not mandatory that you have Mage Blood. You can do this with, I don't know, any other build. I mean, we're in a Pathfinder, so you can just get some... There's plenty of resources for flask charges, and then you can increase flask charges, and then your flasks are up all the time anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. However, Mage Blood will in the end make you faster, make you a little bit better, as Mage Blood always does with every build, I would say. But again, it's not mandatory, it's just really nice to have though. Dragon Scale Boots, so these again, all they give is a lot of regen, life, and also spell suppression. So here is where you want spell suppression and yeah, some action speed. If you switch weapons, then what you have here is Poet's Pen, and this is where the damage comes from. So let's take a look at the tree. So the tree is pretty standard, I would say, for a Pathfinder. I just path up here, go down here, then you get a cluster jewel in here, cluster jewel with special reserve and spiked concoction. What this does is it just gives you 20% more damage flat because our flask is always up, and regenerates some life. The other one gives you Alchemist Genius, which is kind of nice, but it's only 4 seconds, but it helps in sustaining the flasks. So what we have here is the Nature's Patience. So Nature's Patience will just give you some damage reduction as long as you're stationary, or at least as long as you have these grasping vines which come to you when you're stationary. They make you really slow, but it doesn't really matter because as long as you're moving, you don't get grasping vines. And when you're not moving, you want to be stationary anyway. Then you go up here, you get this cluster right here, which is mandatory for your auras and some reservation, and this one is mandatory like for power charges. As I said, we want to keep the number of maximum power charges high. So yeah, that was pretty normal. If you go down here, this is also pretty normal. It's like some flask duration stuff and some evasion, spell suppression, so this is all standard. Where it gets interesting is here with the tattoos. So over here I have the Warrior's Tale, again to increase the effect of my tattoos. And what I put in here is just spell suppression to get capped, and some flask duration because the flask wasn't up all the time. Down here I just have some life. So you could think about replacing these with movement speed instead. I just got a little bit lazy. I don't even have tattoos on all of them, and I have more than enough dexterity, so I could really start replacing stuff. But whatever, maybe do that in the future. Okay, over here we have Unnatural Instinct, which is kind of standard, I would say. It's just to get some more movement speed off here, and then you have all of these small nodes, which are really good. So this is kind of, yeah, this is normal. Then this one is an interesting one, the Brutal Restraint. You could put in something else here, and what you'll see a lot is people putting in reduced mana cost and increased elemental damage for devotion. And it's an option, but it's not mandatory. So you could put in anything more or less right here as long as you get your mana cost fixed somehow. So I did put in this one because it gives me quite a bit of movement speed. So I get 5% movement speed here, I get 5% movement speed here, I get 5% movement speed here, and I get some more flask charges gained here. I have to say that the flask charges gained isn't really doing anything for me because I'm not getting the next threshold where I have another flask charge added. So I'm at 6 flask charges gained at the moment. However, yeah, maybe it helps a little bit in the future. We'll see. Okay, other than that, you get a lot of dex, which you don't really need. But then, on the other hand, you can start putting your tattoos everywhere where you have dex, so it might help in that sense. Yeah, then I go over here. So yeah, you have the Ashen Frost. So this is also just for elemental damage. So concerning the tattoos, they're kind of all optional, and you just take whatever you want, except for this guy. So the Honor Tattoo of the Storm. This one gives you another power charge, and what this helps at is, what you'll see a lot is people anointing this one over here. So they have one more power charge, and because they have one here and then one here. But by using this tattoo, you don't need to anoint this one, so you can anoint anything else you want. So I went with Divine Judgment, but again, you can just choose whatever your build needs in that moment. And yeah, that really helps in damage for me. So yeah, that frees up the anointment. So it's a really nice tattoo. So concerning the gems, your main damage gem is going to be Detonate Dead. So you'll need some sort of setup like this in your Poet's Pens, where the first one just spams all of these corpses and the second one detonates them, and then that's what does the damage. You do have quite some mitigation and other auras right here. So haste is pretty mandatory, just giving you movement speed. So this one, you put this one in for the movement speed. You don't really care about attack or cast speed or anything. Grace obviously is mandatory, so you dodge everything or almost everything. Then you have determination right here, so you don't take any physical damage or have high physical damage reduction. these are pretty clear. So here you have elemental weakness for increasing damage, flammability for increasing damage. You have enfeeble, so your enemies don't do much damage anymore. And then you have punishment for increasing your damage again. I have awakened hex touch in here, and I have a frenzy just to get everything going and generate some frenzy charges. So what else do we have? So over here we have the mark on hit with anomalous assassin's mark. Anomalous just makes it so the enemy gets a little bit more damage again. Then we have vitality, which is pretty mandatory, so you get some more regen. And we have Arctic armor in here, so it makes us freeze immune, and the important thing here is that it reduces physical damage taken while stationary, and that's why we stand still when the boss comes. Then Flame Dash is a no-brainer. Molten Shell is just for some extra survivability, so I always hit Molten Shell when the boss slams or anything. Then we have Anomalous Sigil of Power, and this one is quite an interesting one. So what this does is that your enemy takes, or your enemies in the area will deal 20% less damage while at maximum stages. Now the maximum stage here is 1, and that's because of the anomalous. So the more quality it has, the less stages it has. And it starts at 4. So what you want to do is you want to get this high enough so it has -3 stages. And that being said, that's going to be at 60%. So your ashes will, so you can practically take any ashes in that case, depending on your enhanced support. So your enhanced support and your ashes will just need to be, it will need to add up to 60%, and then, or 40% in that case, and then you're fine, right? Okay. Then for just running a little bit faster, you have phase run, efficacy support, increased duration, so you're always phase running, more or less, or at least it's nearly always up. I have to admit, in the sword, I just didn't put anything in here because I kind of still don't know what to put in here. There are some people running with elusive. I don't know, it's just, I didn't really have the feeling that I needed it, and maybe there's going to come something in the future, so if you want to get creative, go ahead, put something in here, let me know what works for you. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe it'll inspire you to build your own little Labrunner. So if you have any questions on the build or anything, just let me know, drop me a message, and I'll get back to you.